So, the Doctor Who Christmas special of 2017, Twice Upon a Time, has just broadcast, and I just finished watching it. Well, so I wanted to catch up with this because I had rated the 10th season here, which I think will go down as probably the best for the Capaldi era. He got more fairly good episodes and some really good ones, as opposed to the really bad ones, which was most of the ones they gave him. Capaldi, to my opinion, is the best actor to play the Doctor since its reboot in 2005, or renewing, I guess. It's not so much a reboot. But they just didn't give him the stories that he's worthy of. It was really sad because recently during the marathon they had the Heaven Sent and Hellbent episodes, and they encapsulate the whole thing. It starts off with great atmospherics. These guys are very good at that. Lots of teases, but then the payoff just goes flat. And that's constant, and that's true of the other, with Smith and Tennant as well. And so it's no different here. That, coupled with the constant preaching and just flat out misandry that's gone through the series just tarnishes it. But Twice Upon a Time, probably the best out of this pretty good season. This was a fantastic show. The only weak parts would be they take way too long now. It's getting longer and longer. So I guess when Jodie Whittaker leaves the show, it might take 2 hours for her just to regenerate because they take forever to say goodbye. And it kind of takes away from it. Should have gone a little bit quicker, I thought. Now the jokes were sort of funny, but I mean it was kind of taken out of the continuity in the sense that the older Doctor, the original Doctor, was a bit sexist here in his thinking, and the 12th Doctor is like, oh God, I'm embarrassed and all that sort of thing. Yeah, but at the same time it takes it out of the continuity where the Doctor, he's this alien from an advanced civilization, and the idea it just doesn't fit and doesn't really work. Yeah, but it's a minor weakness compared to some whoppers that have happened in other shows. But overall, it all fit. It sort of fit in with these new celestial beings that Bill has become a part of. And so that was a nice little send-off. A lot of people didn't like Bill. She didn't bother me at all. And in fact, I was kind of hoping she'd stay on because I thought with a new female Doctor, she might need a female to guide her along. For a little while, and I also would have thought it had been cool if Bill had stayed a Cyberman, because then Bill becomes a Cyberman and the Doctor becomes a woman. It's funny, but no, she's gone. But it's also another thing about canon and maintaining things here, reaffirmed that the first Doctor is indeed the first Doctor. His reluctance to regenerate into the second Doctor was because of his fear of doing it. He's never done it before. And so that's established, I think, and it's time to nail that shut and stop this business of, there could have been all these other people that the Doctor could have been. He just, it's only the name, and something needs to be done to clear up that War Doctor business as well. Yeah, but that's another video. Anyway, so a fantastic show. I do recommend it. And now the silliness of the send-off, all that drama in the beginning, and then it's kind of reminiscent of when David Tennant left and then Matt Smith came in. And of course, they had said they were going to redesign the TARDIS, so of course his regeneration destroyed it. I was expecting that. And so now it's Jodie. You have to keep in mind, when you have Matt Smith being kind of startled and upset at the fact that he might be a girl, so you would think the Doctor would not be all that inviting of it. She's going to have to get used to being a woman. It's new. This has never happened before. And even though the Doctor is aware of this, it happened to other Time Lords, it's new. Keep in mind, the examples we have is just the Master turning into Missy, and we didn't see that transition. We didn't see the years of Missy developing into becoming Missy, and after regenerating and all that. So you can assume what happened there. As for the General, in the episode we saw regenerate from man to woman, she gets up and immediately says, "That's the only time I've been a man." And then, of course, of course, like I said, the misandry, the sexist line. How do you deal with that ego? Why, well, don't you know? You were him. It's doubly stupid. If you would think more about your story and stop worrying about preaching, these accidents and these stupid things wouldn't happen. But nevertheless, that explains that it's kind of like this rare event. Like this Time Lord was actually a Time Lady for most of her existence, and was only a man for once, and then came back to being a woman. Is like, finally back to normal, and because that's what he's she's used to. So you can imagine the same with Doctor Who here, and by that you can conclude from the pattern that they probably unwittingly set is that the gender swapping is rare. So when Jodie's had enough, usually they do like 3 years, or maybe she'll do 4 or 5, and she moves on. That means her successor would logically be a man. It could be a man of a different race. They haven't done that yet, and that's actually canon from the old show. If you recall the John Pertwee episode where his mentor regenerated into his Asian assistant, who, yes, was also played by a white man. That's how they did it back then. But nevertheless, for the purposes of the story, one race regenerated into another. And so you could probably see that. But of course, if this is only the purpose of gender politics and whatnot, which I simply refer to as misandry, then I suppose there will be another woman succeeding Jodie. Which doesn't really play into the patterns you've already set, but probably, my guess is, it's been unwittingly set. So, continuity matters, and when you don't pay attention to it and treat it like garbage, it spells doom for you. The good news is that they're doing something smart with the 10 episodes. I don't know about the all-one storyline, but 10 episodes is a good idea to follow for just television in general these days, and a lot of television series could be helped by that. So they won't be bogged down with doing filler episodes, Walking Dead, and because that tears away from the character of the story, Walking Dead, and having fewer episodes to mess up makes things better, Walking Dead, but for some of them it may be too late, Walking Dead. Anyway, back to Twice Upon a Time, which is supposed to be about. It was, like I said, a good episode. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. It didn't piss me off, so that's always good. And a couple of things wrapped, well, maybe not entirely. I would have liked the Clara thing to actually be Clara, and that wrapping up thing about did she get back to I guess they're saying she did get back to Gallifrey and do her death, and now she's in the testimony world. So, okay, good. This business that no one ever dies, that's a constant, and it kind of takes away from the depth or the impact of stories when your characters don't die. They become magic beings and stuff. Okay. I wouldn't do it that way, but I guess Adric's the only one. So, and another thing, the good dialect, that was interesting. I would have liked a more in-depth story about that, but at least they returned to it and said, "Oh yeah, by the way." So, I don't know if that's the last we'll see of it, but anyway, yeah, that was a nice thing for them to return to that. So there you go. I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that the show is destroyed because the Doctor turns into a woman. Doctor Who is the only series where I could see where that's feasible within the science fiction, when they allow science fiction on the show, but with the story of regeneration and all that. So it fits in. It's not the same as, like, James Bond becoming a woman and stuff like that. No, with Doctor Who, you can see where it's feasible. The rest of the stuff, the sloppy writing, plots that don't really get resolved except by magical fairy tale endings, yeah, they preached that here too. Wasn't crazy about that. And of course, the onslaught of misandry and other leftist politics ideas. Yeah, that's enough of that. Too much of it, and and breaking the fourth wall practically, like Oxygen did. It's just lazy, and it gets in the way of you thinking out your story, and it brings it down, and that would be the end of the series, and it's in trouble. The numbers are not good. No, I don't care what anyone says, they're not, and so they're gonna have to double up and come up with some really great science fiction adventure for this new Doctor. She's a woman. That's it. That's done. You don't need to constantly beat people's heads over with it like that, which I suspect you're probably going to do it. So my advice is to stay away from that. and go forward. But we'll see. So best of luck to Miss Whitaker. We'll see your doctor at the end of the next year, or towards the in the fall, I guess, and we'll see how that works out. As for Twice Upon a Time, as I said, 5 out of 5 stars. And probably one of the best episodes of the Capaldi's final season as Doctor Who. And I'm going to miss him because he's, like I said, the best out of these actors and the closest to what the show had originally been. But he's gone. All right. We'll see what happens next time. Thank you for listening.